Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, hear me today. We are standing in a season where the ground looks dry, the cupboards look empty, the opportunities look scarce. Some of you have been staring at doors that refuse to open, waiting for rain that won't fall, hoping for change that seems delayed. But let me declare to you with every fiber of my being, the famine will not last. Famine is not forever, lack is not permanent, struggle is not eternal. What you are walking through right now is only a chapter, not the whole story. The enemy wants you to believe that what you see today is what you will always have. He wants you to settle in a place of drought, to pitch your tent in despair, to call this valley your home. But I came to tell you, don't you dare unpack your bags in the famine. Don't you dare let temporary trouble dictate permanent decisions. Because famine is the stage where faith is proven, famine is the furnace where resilience is forged, famine is the place where you learn that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. I know it feels tight. I know you're weary. I know you've cried in the midnight hour. But listen, rain is coming. Harvest is on the horizon. Doors are about to swing wide, and provision is about to flow. The very thing that mocked you will marvel at you, because your story is shifting. You may have been down to your last dime, but favor is greater than finance. You may have been surviving on scraps, but grace is about to set a table before you. The famine was never meant to kill you, it was meant to reveal you. So lift up your head, square your shoulders, and declare with me, the famine won't last, the famine won't last. Your future is bigger than your famine. Your destiny is stronger than your drought, and your breakthrough is closer than you think. Hold on, keep walking, keep believing, because the famine, I wish you'd hear me, the famine will not last. Famine is temporary, but your destiny is eternal. Famine is temporary, but your destiny is eternal. You may be in a season right now where everything around you looks barren, where the ground beneath your feet refuses to yield fruit, where prayers seem unanswered and opportunities seem locked away. The temptation is to assume that this is all there is, that the barrenness you see with your eyes will dictate the story of your life. But famine is not the conclusion, it is an interruption. It is not the final word, it is a pause in the middle of your sentence. Seasons of famine have always existed throughout history. They come suddenly, they stretch you, they test you, but they do not last forever. What lasts forever is the call on your life, the promise spoken over you, the eternal weight of your destiny that cannot be cancelled by temporary lack. The problem with famine is not only the absence of resources, but the way it tries to convince you that your purpose is shrinking with your supply. When you are down to your last, the enemy whispers that your future is just as empty as your cupboard. He tries to tell you that your destiny has expired because your resources have dried up. But famine cannot cancel what God has already ordained. Destiny is not tied to the economy. Destiny is not tied to the environment. Destiny is not tied to the season you are in. Destiny is eternal because it is rooted in a God who does not change, in a promise that does not fade, in a covenant that does not break. If famine were permanent, purpose would never prevail. Yet we see that famine passes and destiny remains. Joseph endured years of famine in Egypt, but destiny elevated him to govern a nation. Elijah stood in a land where no rain fell for years, but destiny sustained him at a brook, in a widow's house, and finally on Mount Carmel when the rain returned. Ruth gleaned in barren fields, but destiny connected her to Boaz and established a legacy that would carry through generations. These stories remind us that famine is not the end, it is a stage on the way to fulfillment. You cannot measure eternal destiny with temporary famine. The scales will never balance. One is fleeting, the other is unshakable. One comes to test, the other comes to remain. When famine confronts you, Remind yourself that you were chosen before the famine ever began. Your life was marked with meaning before the drought ever showed up. What you are experiencing now is a season that will pass, but what has been planted inside you is a destiny that cannot die. The fields may look empty today, but destiny is the seed that guarantees there will be harvest tomorrow. When famine tries to make you fearful, remember that temporary lack cannot undo eternal promise. When famine tries to make you quit, remember that purpose outlives pressure. When famine tries to convince you to give up, remember that destiny is eternal, and eternity always outruns scarcity. Don't settle in the drought, prepare for the rain. Don't settle in the drought, prepare for the rain. One of the greatest mistakes people make in seasons of lack is to build a permanent mindset around a temporary condition. The drought may look severe, the sky may be cloudless, and the ground may be cracked, but that does not mean the heavens are closed forever. The danger of settling is that it tricks you into living beneath your potential, accepting less than what was promised, and making the temporary feel like it is eternal. When you settle in the drought, you start decorating despair as if it were your destiny. You start shaping your life around emptiness instead of expecting fullness. You begin to lower your faith to match your famine instead of lifting your faith to prepare for rain. The drought is a test of vision. Can you see beyond what your eyes currently behold? Can you hear the sound of abundance when all you feel is scarcity? The prophet once declared that he heard the sound of the abundance of rain before a single drop ever hit the earth. That is the posture of faith, hearing rain in the drought, preparing for overflow when lack surrounds you. Preparation is a declaration that you believe rain is coming. You don't build an ark when the sun is shining unless you trust that clouds will soon gather. You don't dig trenches in dry ground unless you believe they will one day be filled. You don't plant seeds unless you believe harvest will return. To prepare in a drought means you refuse to let the dryness define your decisions. It means you keep sowing even when the field looks barren, because you trust that seasons shift. It means you keep speaking words of life even when death tries to dominate your thoughts. It means you keep praising with hands lifted even when your heart feels heavy. Preparation is proof of expectation, and expectation is the womb of manifestation. The one who expects rain makes room for it, even before the first drop falls. The drought will tempt you to stop dreaming, to downsize your prayers, to cut back on your hope, but preparing for rain requires you to stretch your faith. You must keep building, keep believing, keep arranging your life for the day when the drought breaks. If you prepare only for drought, you will be overwhelmed when the rain comes. Blessing can drown you if you have not made room for it, but if you prepare in the dry season, you will have vessels ready to catch the outpour when it finally arrives. Don't let the drought make you small. Don't let it convince you that the dryness is all there is. Lift your eyes, open your heart, and start moving like rain is inevitable. For the one who prepares is the one who will not only see the rain, but also be ready to receive it when it falls. The famine is not meant to kill you, but to reveal you. The famine is not meant to kill you, but to reveal you. Every struggle, every season of lack, every barren moment in life comes with a hidden purpose. When the ground produces nothing and your strength feels exhausted, you might assume the famine has arrived to destroy you. But famine does not come to bury you. It comes to expose what lies within you. It pulls back the surface layers of comfort, strips away the distractions of plenty, and forces you to confront the depth of your faith, the resilience of your spirit, and the endurance of your heart. What abundance hides, famine reveals. In abundance, it is easy to assume you know yourself. When everything flows, when resources are plentiful, when doors open without resistance, you can walk confidently and think you understand the measure of your strength. But when famine strikes, when supply runs out and opportunities dry up, the real you is uncovered. You discover where your trust truly rests, whether it is in the provision or the provider. You discover the strength of your perseverance, whether you crumble under pressure or stand firm in faith. You discover if your hope was shallow or if it was anchored deep. The famine is a mirror. It shows you who you are when the applause stops, when the resources run thin, when the crowd is gone, and when nothing around you affirms your worth. In that place, you find out what is inside you. You find out if you can still praise when you have nothing left to show. You find out if you can still believe when the evidence tells you to give up. You find out if you can still serve, still love, still endure when life feels unfair. The famine reveals the inner treasures that comfort could never bring to the surface. Famine is also the stage where greatness emerges. History is filled with men and women who were shaped in scarcity, who were refined in difficulty, who were forged in the fire of struggle. The greatness in them was not born in the seasons of plenty, but revealed in the seasons of famine. It is in the famine that creativity awakens, because when resources are limited, vision must expand. It is in the famine that courage is tested, because when everything says quit, persistence must arise. It is in the famine that purpose is clarified, because when distractions fall away, the true call becomes undeniable. The famine is not an enemy to fear, but a process to endure, because within it lies revelation. It is not designed to destroy, but to develop, not to cancel destiny, but to confirm it. The famine does not determine your value, it simply exposes it. It draws out strength you didn't know you had, faith you didn't know you carried, endurance you didn't know you could walk in. The famine is the place where your truest self steps forward, where the eternal qualities of your destiny come alive in the absence of temporary comfort.